Suit up, strap in, warm the tires, and leave on yellow. Time for the MitsuTimes podcast, presented by MitsuTimes.org, the home of the fastest Mitsubishi cars. With your host, Josh.
Hey, what's going on, guys? It's Josh with MitsuTimes. Today our guest is Darin Goodwin. He is the owner and driver of the RemRem 3G. Currently, what are you, number 5 on the list, Darin?
Yeah, number 5.
Number 5 on the list. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm great, man. So tell us a little bit about the RemRem as it sits right now.
Okay, REM right now is fully functional. Actually just checked on it today. I ended up getting a new garage to put it, the tools and all the other stuff for it. And it was downstairs in my garage, but I moved it to like its own storage garage. So yeah, I went by, started it up, and it's running great. It's ready for the track. Still got good tread on the tires. Just ready to rock and roll. I did have some like small lifter issue a couple weeks ago with the lifters starting to go out. They flattened out a lot of them. Those stock lifters don't like nitrous at 7K too much, so yeah, I replaced those with some eBays, which was not a good idea. So I went back and they worked for one day at the track, and I ended up breaking my axles and couldn't even run them. So that was it with them. I returned them and put some OEM ones in that I cleaned. So it's good. A few of the OEMs fell apart, so it has some eBays in there, so it's still kind of ticking, but it's running. You know what I'm saying? So we're track ready, and I'll be going to the track like really, really soon. I just been trying to stay away from broadcasting it lately because last couple times I broadcasted I was going to the track, things just went horribly wrong. So
That sounds like me when I go to the track.
Yeah, dude. Like I'm just like, you know what? I'm just going to tell everybody after I get back. Like, here's the times around.
I get everybody all hyped up, and then everything's functioning. I get to the track, and I'll lose a gear or something.
Yeah, dude. Like, what happened? Like, I don't know. Like last time everything was in order. I had the trailer. I mean, it was running. I drove it to the house, ready to put on the trailer. I go to start that car to put it on the trailer, and it would not start. Like the starter wouldn't even turn over. I'm like, okay, starter blew out. I go and swap the starter out because I checked all the wiring, bro, and I just gave up on it. And then I checked the next morning, and it was the fuse I have going to the starter that I just missed when I was checking it the night before. So, yeah, it is what it is.
So tell us about the setup it has right now.
So it has a stock 6G74, and let's see. I'm on nitrous. It's a direct port nitrous system through nitrous outlet. It's on a progressive controller. We're running a 75 shot right now, and fully gutted. I just gutted the doors actually last week. I cut I've had my door cords off, but I cut the metal out of the doors and saved a bunch of weight. It's full Lexan except for the windshield. The windshield I still need to Lexan, but I'm just trying to get the right measurements and save the money for the Lexan and figure out how to kind of reinforce it in the front. And it's sitting on the Huzier QuickTime Pros, and that's pretty much it. You know, Godspeed coilovers, little perch kit. You know, I'm running a single bottle, 10 pound.
So what made you choose the 3G platform?
The 3G platform, man, honestly, okay, I'll tell my wife the other day. I remember as a kid watching the commercial for the 3G clips, and it had this song by Dirty Vegas, Days Go By. And I remember like seeing a commercial, I'm like, man, that's a cool car. And they like had the RPMs going up and they're driving. I'm like, that's cool. Like I always kind of wanted one. So then when I was 18, I just kind of fell into an Eclipse. It was a 03 GT. It was 2008. And then I got on to club3g.org, I think it is. And I made an account. And I mean, I wasn't super big into it then, but I thought that car was pretty cool and fast at the time. because I came from a Camaro, like an '84 Camaro, and yeah, I've had a few, and I ended up getting this one recently. I've had REM for like 2 years now. I had a BMW 535. It was a 2013, and it just was giving me too many problems. So I ended up getting a Cadillac. And in addition to the Cadillac, I'm like, it's cool, but it's slow. And I was like, man, I want a 3G again. So I got me this 3G, and it was supposed to be a daily driver. And it was for a while. I made it look real nice, new paint, new interior, new seats, new rims, big 18-inch, 30-pound wheels. Somebody's like, hey, you should get Andrew to tune it. I'm like, who's Andrew? They're like, you know that. So I hit him up, we start tuning it, and I was just like, the power is cool, but I'm like, is there any way to make these things faster? And I was exploring turbo options, and one thing led to another, and we're here on full nitrous.
What was the car like when you bought it? It was just a pretty standard 3G?
No, dude, it was a hunk. It was a beast. Like, I bought that car, my wife was kind of upset about it because I spent $800 on it. The car was silver, and the inside was just destroyed. I mean, the seats were literally shredded apart. The dash was cracked, like, bad. I mean, it drove. That was the thing. I was like, does it run and drive? You know what I'm saying? Like, the air didn't work. I was like, does it run and drive? That's my question. Like, is the clutch good? Is the training good? Is the motor good? And it was. It had 280,000 miles on it.
Jeez.
And, so it was like creaking, and I'll never forget driving that thing home. Like, I almost had a heat stroke in that thing. It was so hot in Houston, And I got it home, man, and, I just started. The first thing I did was suspension. I rated the entire front end suspension. I ended up buying a second 3G. It was a 2002 as a parts car. It was a GS, and it barely ran. But he had all these, he had coilovers on it. Those are where my coilovers came from. And he had a brand new interior, brand new headlights. So I used that as a parts car. Yeah, and I just donored everything over, and I sold that car for I sold that car. It was running for like $600. I was like, I don't care. I bought it cheap.
Yeah.
And, yeah, dude, and that was only like 2 years ago. Like, the dude that bought it, he was all ecstatic, and I'm like, bro, I don't need it. You know what I'm saying? Like, buying that car was cheaper than me buying a set of coilovers.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and I got that plus some. So, like, I was just trying to be a blessing to somebody else. He was happy with it. So.
Good on him. I know you have the 67.4 in it now that you were talking about. I know, obviously, it came with the 67.2.
Yeah.
Is that pretty much the only setups you've had? I know you've kind of played around with different nitrous shots.
Yeah, so at very first, we're 7.2, and we went 7.2 with nitrous with a single shot, a single nozzle going into the throttle body. And that setup was pretty good. That got us our 13.3, and I'm trying to think. That setup also made 349 wheel horsepower.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the nitrous shots are kind of weird, right? So that was a 175 shot, which is actually a lot less than the direct port 75 shot. Because, you're spreading out. So with the direct port, each cylinder is getting its own shot of nitrous, like directly into the intake manifold, into the plenum. So with the one I had in the 7.2, it was a single nozzle, so it was only one shot, and it had to pass through the throttle body and then disperse among 6 cylinders.
Gotcha.
So running a 175 shot was like, it sounds like a lot, you know what I'm saying? And it was, because, we're pushing, 150 extra horsepower with it. So, you're going from 200 to 349. So it was a good sized shot, and the only problem I had with that though is after I would race, like at the end of the drag strip, it would freeze my throttle body, and my throttle body would literally stick open through 3rd and 4th gear.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, dude. So I never really told anybody that. I told Andrew, and he's like, just shut it down at the end of the track. But yeah, like through 3rd and 4th, I wouldn't I'd let off the gas to shift. But the gas would stay wide open because the throttle body would be frozen.
Wow.
Because we're spraying so much nitrous through that throttle body. So, I went from that to, I blew that motor. It was my fault that it actually blew. I was practice launching one day, and I was launching with the nitrous, and I had the two-step on, and back then I had like this button kind of set up to where like I could be on my two-step, and it would, if I held a button, it would be killing the nitrous, but the controller would still be on trying to shoot the signal. So as soon as I let go of the button, it would instantly shoot the nitrous. Well, I let go of the button before I got off of the two-step. So you got a 175 shot blowing while the two-step is going on, and it blew two of my valves on cylinder 3.
They wasn't too happy about that.
Oh no, it sounded like a Subaru. It was terrible. It was like, bah, 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 bah. So tore the engine down. Then I put the first 7.4 in. When I put that first 7.4 in, I went ahead and did a direct port system in the 7.4 manifold, and that's when I ended up running the 12.0, which I actually think would have been faster, but I bogged the launch, and I think I had like a 2.4 60 foot or something. So, I mean, that setup right there was a potential 11-second, mid 11s, high 11 setup. So that happened, and then that same night that I ran that 12.0, I was trying to break the 12.0. I'm like, I can make an 11 pass. Like, I know it can. I messed up the launch. So that same night, I remember I launched great. It was an amazing launch. I took off like a rocket. But I had a issue with my fans. So my fans, I didn't have slim fans at the time. I had the stop fans. And, sometimes they have metal shrouds.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the bolts came off the metal shroud, and it was wobbling real bad. And it was the top bolt. It touched the alternator and arced, which it caught the front end on fire. Like, it caught the headers on fire is what it did. And when it caught the headers on fire, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was an electrical issue or what, but like from the arcing. But when it did that situation, I was in second gear and it started going lean. Well, I was like, whatever, what's the worst that could happen? I'm just gonna push it. Like, I'm getting this 11. And bro, by the end of the run, I think I ran like a 12.9 because it was like breaking up bad. And yeah, the end of the run, it's on fire, and I had to get out and spray it off, and then they came and sprayed it off. So I pulled that 7.4 out, and I ended up melting cylinder 2 on that motor because I did that. And pulled that motor. Now I have a new 7.4 in. That 7.4 has this one that's in it. It's got like 120,000 miles on it. So got it from eBay for $350.
Oh wow!
Warranty swap actually. So the first 7.4 I got for $350, and then I warranty swapped it for this 7.4. So I really got this one for free. Like, it's a great deal they have on eBay with this store, My Auto Store in Atlanta. So now with this setup though, it's a lot different. So now I have a progressive controller. I have the direct port shot, but I have an XG350 manifold from I think it's a Chrysler XG350. So that's those short runners. They're a lot shorter than any other runners that are on a 3G.
Okay.
And then I have an excessive intake plenum because we needed more power on the top end. So we went with shorter runners and a bigger plenum. And I ended up putting the GTS cams into the 7.4 on this one too. So that, and then I ended up putting Wildcat headers. The last 2 setups I had eBay headers, and it wasn't flowing good. I mean, it was running, but it wasn't flowing good. So I have Wildcat headers from Australia. I got a side exit going on, and the direct port with the nitrous controller, and I have that giant velocity stack on the front. So this car has never made a full pass with all that on it with this new setup.
Interesting.
Yeah. So given that last setup was making a lot less power, ran potentially like a high 11. I'm really, really thinking this thing can do low 11s, maybe high 10s if we put the 150 shot in. So I ran the 150 shot tuning it, and it's scary. It's like a starship when you get the juice.
That's good. That's the kind of stuff that keeps you motivated.
Yeah, definitely. It's honestly, man, I'm kind of nervous to run it, but it's got to happen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
Exactly.
I'm praying everything works out right. You know, I just need one run. I need one run. Give me a 10-9. I'm good.
Are you gonna hang it up after that?
I'll have to. We break 10. Really, if we go anything under 11.5, at my track, we have to get a cage.
Oh, okay.
So I got like literally one shot. If I'm gonna go below 11.5, I got one shot to get a good time, and we'll have to pause and get a cage. And when we get a cage, we'll have to cut more weight somewhere. So I'll probably end up putting a lot of the interior metal out so that we can compensate for the cage. So yeah.
So what made you choose? What made you go with the 67.4 and just a big nitrous spray over force induction or something else?
So really, I mean, Andrew was really the one that kind of guided this whole thing in the direction it went. We had a talk when he first started tuning me. He was like, I just wanted a single bottle in the trunk. I had my subwoofers back there. I mean, it was a show car, but I was like, I like going fast. So, he taught me into the whole nitrous thing, and, I saw the potential of it. I'm like, and people at the track were like, bro, like, that's cool. Like, you're doing something unique.
Yeah.
Because at that track, you never see a 3G over there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen any other 3G. Everybody's got Civics, or they got, like, old muscle cars, or they got, like, there's, like, a million Mustangs, the new Mustangs. So, yeah, man, when the 7.2 broke, I was just like, I was going to go with the MyDeck, the 7.5, but I just looked at how much extra stuff that's involved with it. And then at the time, there was only one person who was making the MyDeck plates. And I think we had like a spat online or something. And I was just like, you know what, I looked at the 7.4 and I looked at some people who had the 7.4 swap. And I'm like, it's so much it's basically a direct swap if you're going to race it. If you don't want power steering and AC and all that. So I was like, man, let me just climb the ladder. So yeah, I went 7.4 and with forced induction, that was what I originally wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
But Andrew was just telling me, he's got an Evo and it's turbo, and I had never owned a turbo car at that time, and he was just telling me, all the things that come along with turbo. And if you're really trying to race it, you need to pick quality parts. And here's a list of what you need, and this is how much it's going to cost you. Versus if you go nitrous, and I was like, man. And he just told me, he's like, bro, like, I really wish somebody would just listen to what I tell them to do. Just one person. He's like, if I could find one person to listen to what I tell them to do and build the car exactly like I tell them to build it, I guarantee you'll run a 10. I said, all right, well, go ahead, let's do it. I said, if you sponsor me, and I was continuously paying Andrew for a while, and then I picked him up as a sponsor, and he's sponsoring RemRem now as far as tuning goes. And I was like, man, all right, like, just tell me what to do, and I'll do it. You know what I'm saying? And I don't question him. I mean, I ask him why sometimes, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I've learned over the last year and a half to 2 years that, like, there's a method to his madness, and there's, like, I don't know, dude, like, sometimes it sounds weird, some of the things he'll tell me to do, but, like, they work. And I'm like, oh. You know what I'm saying? Like, or it'll be like that I told you so moment, because, I mean, I grew up working on Chevys, you know what I'm saying? And,
right.
Like, I built a few hot rods in my day, but I've never dealt this deep in depth with, like, EFI systems and tuning and all that stuff. Like, I just rewired the entire car. I pulled the whole car's wiring harness out just recently. Pulled out the stock fuse box, all the relays. Like, it was no wires in the car at all. And rewired it from scratch. And even that, he was like, bro, that's over my head. Like, I don't know. And that was probably the hardest thing I've ever done with that car, because I had absolutely zero guidance from anybody. I poked some questions here and there, but everybody who I asked had a shop to it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I literally pulled out, shout out to Tearstone, I pulled out the Tearstone manual, and bro, my wife would tell you, like, I had stacks and stacks of papers, just like, it took me took me like a week of research, and then it took me 14 consecutive days to do that.
I hate any type of wiring. That's a nightmare.
Oh, I hate it too. But it was one of them things like it had to be done because my sensors were ever since the car caught on fire. All the sensors were tripping out. Like we couldn't get an accurate reading on anything. The knock sensor was phantom knocking. Like it was bad. So I was like, I'm either gonna get rid of it and just put everything into a different chassis or just rewire it. And I was like, worst comes to worst, if my wiring fails, I'll just I'll sell the body and transfer it all to something else. And I just took that step, and I remember like 2 days went by after that 14 days of wiring. 2 days went by and the car wouldn't start. And it ended up being just simple. Some ground wires weren't connected right. So connected those right, man, it fired up, and thank God it's been running great ever since.
So if you could start all over, would you still do everything the same way?
Yeah, I would. The only thing I think I would change, because I like the progression that we made from the 7.2. We broke a record with the 7.2, and now we're trying to do something with the 7.4. I think the only thing I would change would be the two-step that I used in the beginning. I used the BR rev limiter, and it started off great, but those things they're not built for launch controlling. They're built for like pops and that. And I think I would have went with the MSD 6AL2 straight off the gate instead of going with the BR, because ultimately that BR and that setup is the reason my 7.2 blew. I really, really, really wanted to push that 7.2 harder. Although I think we were kind of maxing it out with the, honestly with the nitrous, because we put in a 225 shot before, and it didn't, on the virtual dyno, it didn't make any more power really than the 175 shot. So, there's, a motor can only take so much nitrous, because like the nitrous Andrew knows more about this. The nitrous basically expands the oxygen in the cylinder, right? So like it only expands the oxygen that's there, and there becomes a point where there's no more oxygen to expand, so you're just kind of dry throwing nitrous at it. So that was where that was, but I would have loved to have been able to put like this velocity stack and I would have liked to put like these injectors, these 565 injectors in this intake plenum and the excessive plenum we have on there. I would have loved to put that on that 7.2 and just see what it did.
Yeah.
I really wanted to, and I might even do that again one day. We have plans to go with a 6G75 after we're done with the 7.4.
Okay.
I was telling Andrew I want to set a record in each category. Like, I know this is probably going to be the hardest one to do because the 7.4 record is ridiculously fast.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. We might hit 10s, and if it's like a 10.9, 10.8, just move on to the 7.5 and see what we can do to make the 7.4 more powerful. And once we kind of reach a pinnacle with the 7.5, kind of go back to the 7.4. But I want to have my name in each motor on MitsuTimes.
Gotcha.
Or something,
So for all the non-3G people out there, let me just say that the 6G74, the 3.5 liter, is currently the number one spot in the 3G list with a 10.279 in an all-wheel drive car. It's quite a big goal, but
yeah, it is.
I definitely think that it can be done.
Yeah, I don't know. I really don't have plans of going all-wheel drive either. I know I was looking through MitsuTimes, and I'm like, there is a lot of fast front-wheel drive cars.
Yeah.
There's just not a lot of fast front-wheel drive Eclipses, 3Gs. I mean, they're fast, but, they're not I think Joey's the only one ahead of me who still had front-wheel drive on the charts. I think the top three are all-wheel drive, if I remember correctly.
That is correct. Yep.
Yeah, that's something that I'm also standing on too. Is I'm trying to push this car with front wheel drive. So that's another kind of stamp that we're standing on, is keeping it front wheel drive and seeing how far it can go.
Yeah.
And we're running into an axle issue now because I keep breaking the axles.
And Joey's only he's only what 0.4 of a second slower than the slowest all-wheel drive car. So
yeah. I mean, it's there. I mean, if you look at the front wheel drive records of Mitsubishi, like you got cars that are running sevens. I mean, they're fully gutted and fiberglass bodies, but I mean, there's 9-second cars that are cars. I mean, I've seen 10-second cars that are front wheel drive, like they're mostly garages. But the possibility is there. I mean, I even saw, I think it was a 3000 GT that was front wheel drive and ran like a 10 something. So
yep, Chris Hill's 3000 GT front wheel drive from 3SX.
Like black or green. I kind of look at his. I've been trying to how to get in touch with him and just kind of look at his build because that body it's really similar to the 3G as far as like weight, and I think they were a little heavier than the 3G. And I mean, just trying to kind of look at what did he do and where did he cut corners and where did he put some weight here and cut some weight there. It's definitely doable.
Unfortunately, Chris passed in the beginning of the year.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but
oh my God,
the shop that he was working for when he set that record, they still have both of those race cars, the all-wheel drive and the front-wheel drive. And I was talking to one of the managers there. He was on a podcast a few episodes ago. He said that they plan to revive those race cars. So I'm sure you could reach out to them. And
definitely.
I know that all the guys that work at 3SX, they're big 3000 GT guys. So they'd love to share knowledge.
Yeah, and that's another thing that I like to do is cross-platform kind of research. So, like with my headers, for example, those came from a Magna, and I actually got in a group of Australia. I got in an Australian group for Mitsubishi Magnas. They're real similar to the Diamante, but they have 67.4s in them, and those guys trick them things out. And I mean, they got some serious setups in them. So I was at the time I was looking for a new set of headers, and I was like, man, what are y'all running? And I actually seen that's where I got the idea for the direct port nitrous. I saw an Australian dude that had a 67.4, and he had a direct port just like I have it. And I reached out to him. I'm like, bro, like, how did you do that? He sent me some pictures of what he did, and man, I just duplicated it, and so here we are.
And
Australian guys are crazy, man.
Yeah, and anybody out there with Mitsubishi V6, definitely the Australian guys have all the good parts that you're probably looking for.
Yeah, one of the guys, I forgot his name, dude. It's on my Facebook Messenger, but he ended up sending me my headers and just charged me for shipping.
Wow.
He was like, I want to see you do well. I want to see your platform do well, and I can. And I told him, it's a mutual respect, and I respect y'all's builds, but I have one of y'all's motors in my car, so is it cool if I post here? They let me, and they support, and I support them, and shout out to the Australian guys.
Yeah, definitely. You would never be able to do that in any type of American group.
Yeah.
You'd get bashed to death.
Yeah, they were respectful and real cool people.
This episode of the MitsuTimes podcast is brought to you by Coat Performance. They are a full-service performance shop located in Tamaqua, Pennsylvania, and specialize in all things Mitsubishi. Coat Performance builds with quality and performance in mind, from full engine builds, transmission work, powder coating services, and fabrication. You can get your entire build done in one spot, knowing that every step of the way was done with passion and precision. Excellent customer service, fair pricing, and friendly staff makes working with Coat Performance an easy choice for all your build needs. Check out all they have to offer at Coat Performance LLC on Facebook and Instagram. So, what motivates you to keep going with this car? We're just talked about how hard it is to get the parts, and no one's really making the parts here or making the parts that you need. So why keep going with it?
Well, I did 10 years. A lot of people don't know this, but I did 10 years in the Army, and I just got medically chaptered out in 2021 because I've had a couple of knee surgeries on my right knee, my driving knee. I've had a couple of ACL tears, and I was a sergeant in the Army for a long time. 7 of my 10 years, I was a sergeant. I've led missions and the whole 9 yards, been deployed. And when I got out, man, it just kind of, I don't know, there was this thing, like, I needed, like, a sense of accomplishment again, and when I started getting into drag racing, and I was like, wow, like, there's something I could do for this community, you know what I'm saying? And it's fun, and it's something I love. I've been into racing since I was a kid. Like, even as a kindergartner, I remember telling I drew a picture. I told my teacher I wanted to be a race car driver when I grew up. Like, I always wanted to drive NASCAR, but I just don't have the patience to drive NASCAR. Yeah. That makes sense. So, yeah, I mean, racing's just been there forever. And I think it's just a mix of having that sense of reward, at the end of the day. Like, I could get a Civic. Well, I have a Civic, but I could get a Civic gutted or a K swap in it and put nitrous and be running 8s. Like, it'd be easy and it wouldn't cost much. Yeah. But who's doing that with a 3G? Right. You know what I'm saying? Actively. And I think that's where it's just kind of it was a uniqueness thing. I love the car, and now I ain't gonna lie, bro. Like, I've thought about quitting a few times and just getting rid of the car. Because it does take a lot of my time, and it has caused, some issues here and there. Right. In the marital life, and, I mean, it's like kind of with anything you dedicate yourself to, like, so, but what kind of keeps me going is, like, I don't know, like, I'll look at these younger guys, like, on Instagram, for example, like, I'm in all these groups, and people are, like, taking RemRem, and they're making it their logos, and I got, like, 3 or 4 pages, they have RemRem's picture as their logo, and I'm just kind of looking at that like, man, like, there's a lot of people looking up to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even about you anymore. It's about the community at this point. So that's kind of, the motivating factor to keep going. And then, like, my son, too, he's 4 now, but he was, like, 2.5 at the time. He's the one that actually gave RemRem the name. He was like, I made it red. He was like, that's your RemRem? I'm like, yeah, it is. The name just stuck, like, so it was just my kid. So, yeah, man, just, I don't know, I kind of feel like the Rocky Balboa of 3G is almost like not a lot of people who, I guess, have serious builds like the car, but it's a budget-friendly build that I think a lot of people could duplicate to a certain extent. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And easier than they would trying to turbo out a 6-cylinder.
Or put it in a whole different engine, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so, we've kind of talked a little bit about your goals for the car in the future. What are your goals for 2022? You want to just go ahead and, knock that 10 out of the way this year?
Yeah, I think for the year, that's the main goal, is to knock a 10 out and start on a cage for it. That's going to be a pricey project, but it's going to have to happen. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Just get a 10-second pass, start on a cage, and I do want to take it to the dyno again with the setup, but I keep telling Andrew, like, I want to run the car and get the time before we hit the dyno, because I don't want something to happen at the dyno and, we're not able to race it, but we have a great horsepower number. Like, I'd rather have a great track number and,
And then just go to the dyno and blow it up.
Yeah. You just, these cars, when you start making the kind of power we're making, like, just based on our virtual dyno. So when we did the virtual dyno numbers before I ran the 349 horsepower with the 7.2, the dyno said we were running 349 horsepower. The virtual dyno said we were running like 280. The virtual dyno's always been pushing less, but right now the virtual dyno is putting us at like 420. So I think we're upwards close to 500-ish on the shot, on the spray. So we're up there, and like, when you start crossing the 350 line, like, you start breaking things a lot. So each time I run the car, like, I expect to replace things. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So I don't want that thing to be replaced to have to be after a dyno run before I even get a pass in with it.
Yeah. So your plan is to stick with the nitrous and ride it out that way, not to switch to any other type of forced induction.
Yeah, RemRem will never see turbo or supercharger, but I've been throwing around the idea of putting a different type of fuel in it. Maybe after we run a 10, maybe put in some nitro and see what it does, and completely remove the nitrous.
Yeah.
That is something we've been kind of tossing around in the idea bucket.
Because that's what the V6 Mirage guys are doing, so that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've been seeing them run like crazy numbers, and that's what a lot of the K-swap Civics do. You know, they're running big numbers with all motor, but they're running like M1 or nitro. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm thinking about doing that, but the problem I run into with that is just I'd have to massively upgrade the fuel system to be able to deliver that kind of fuel to the motor, and we'd have to drain it after every track day because it sits, for like a week or two in between track days, and that stuff will crust up and start eroding things. So, but yeah, no boost for RemRem.
Your ultimate quarter-mile goal is just to get into the 10s.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking long-term, like life of the car goal,
yeah.
Ultimately, I want to hit a 9.9 one day.
Yeah, I would definitely love to see 3G break below the 10s, and I can't believe that it hasn't happened yet.
I mean, and the thing is that I've seen a lot is I've never seen anybody just really completely hack these cars the way RemRem is hacked. Like, I mean, like, we're cutting so much stuff out of this car. I think the last time I weighed it, this car is like 2,700 pounds with me in it. So, like, it's light.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
It's Honda Civic territory.
Yeah, like, there's still weight to cut, though. And I think the problem that a lot of 3G guys have is they don't want to get rid of their interiors, or they don't want to, they say it's fully gutted, but there's still a dashboard in there. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And I don't know, like, I'm at the point, like, when I cut the trunk out and I replaced the back window with Lexon, I'm like, yeah, this is the point of no return. Like, this is a straight race car. You know what I'm saying? So, like, anything and everything that's unnecessary at this point is going to go. It just kind of made me nervous cutting those doors out the way I did because I'm like, you can't crash now. Like, you're like a tin can. Like, yeah.
And Carbonetics, shout out to those guys. They've been stepping up and making some lightweight 3G parts. I know yours is kind of a budget build, but anybody out there trying to go fast, I know that they got some doors in the works. They got the dashboard already done.
Yeah, they got a real nice dash. I was actually talking to them about getting a dash. They have a fiberglass option, it's a little cheaper.
Yeah.
And they were actually offering me a pretty decent discount. Because, I mean, really at this point, like, and I don't mean to sound any kind of way by saying this, but, like, a lot of the things that I put on Rem, a lot of these other younger guys are going out and getting.
Right.
Like, a lot of people are going to get action clutches now. And nobody even knew what action clutch was. I didn't even know what action clutch was till I needed a new clutch. And, I was going to go ahead and get like a new Excetti, or like, I was looking at, what was that other company? They're yellow. They have yellow clutches. I forgot their name, but a lot of people were using them. And I stumbled upon action clutch. And I think people have seen it do well. And now they're getting a lot of orders for action clutches for 3Gs. So they actually gave me a partial sponsorship. Action Clutch did, so it's like an option. I can purchase a new clutch. I was going to get the Iron Man or the twin disc, and they're giving me half off for it for giving them so much advertisement. So
I mean, there's the 3G guys want to go fast. They just don't know where to start.
Yeah. And I mean, there's just so many places to start. My thing was suspension and regular maintenance and braking power. Like for me, I never approached it that way in the past, but with this car I did because I'm like, the car needs to be able to steer right and it needs to be able to stop before you can even think about going faster. You know what I'm saying?
Definitely.
So, and I think that's just the more mature person in me. You know, because yeah, I mean, you gotta have a solid built car for it to go fast. You don't want to be driving a tin can that's about to fall apart down the track at 140 miles an hour.
Right. Leads me into something else I was going to ask you. Somebody out there, they got a 3G. They're watching your progress, and they want to make their 3G a little quicker. What advice would you give them for their build?
Definitely, like I said, like start with your routine maintenance, make sure everything's good to go, and then I would delete unnecessary things like your EGR, the cruise control things. If you're a V6 guy, do your manifold swap with the 7.4 or 7.5. 7.4 is easier. Throttle body swap. If you're a 4-cylinder guy, get that. I think it's an Outlander manifold you can put on there. Do your basic upgrades, headers, intake, and get that car breathing. Because that's the problem with a lot of 3Gs off the factory line is they don't breathe well. But they have potential, And I mean, me personally, just because I have seen the power it makes and the budget you can do it on, I always say, hey, if you want cheap power, go with nitrous. But beyond anything and everything, tune. You absolutely need a tune done right. And I mean, there's a million people you can go to that can tune a car. But there's very few who are good with tuning 3Gs, especially when you get into nitrous. I mean, there's a couple of DIYers out here, and I think that's great that they're venturing into it. But I'm also seeing people blowing their engines. And hey, you got to start somewhere. But not just because he sponsors me, but because he's great. I mean, AB Tuned, I would say, give him a try. Holler. Just start with the basics, though. Like I said, maintenance, nitrous is cheap, and just don't put anything on that car without having plans to tune it. That's my big thing.
I see a lot in the 3G groups. I see people all the time. Hey, what do I need to do to LS swap, or what do I need to do to 2JZ swap? Like, it's been done and you can do it. Yes, we get it, but 90% of the people who ask those questions are not going to be able to complete those swaps.
I saw a guy with a 2G on YouTube, and he did an LS swap on it, and it was running, but it was running bad. That's cool, but what's wrong with the motor now? You know what I'm saying? Or is it getting fuel? Or I mean, there's a million things to think of when you're doing those kind of swaps. And really, if you don't have a team, it's near impossible, or it's going to take you 15 years.
It's going to cost you 10 times what you paid for a car, probably.
Yeah. I mean, even with Rem, I had a lot of help from my brother and with wrench time, and I've had a lot of help from actually my 2G homeboy Hassan. He's like a 2G god. He bought my 2G, and he ended up just making it amazing. And man, he put in a lot of help with me too on this car wrench time. So shout out to those guys.
So we talked about, obviously you have this 3G, you had 3G before. Is there any other Mitsubishis or Mitsubishi powered cars that you want to talk about?
Well, I've owned 7 3Gs in my life. I've owned 2 2Gs, and I think that's all the Mitsubishis I've owned. The first 2G I had was a 97 GS, and it's on my Instagram. It was that dark purple color.
Yeah.
And it was a 420A, and it was beautiful body. I mean, amazing body, great paint. They had a carbon fiber hood on it, and the interior was the tan and black. It was really nice. I ended up getting brand new tan seats for it. I mean, it was a nice car. And I ended up putting a turbo kit on it. That was my first time playing with turbo. Funny thing is, on those, you can't tune those. Like, they're not tunable.
Right, you got to get a standalone ECU.
Yeah, now I went with the old mechanical way. I got an FMU. I had a 12-to-1 FMU on it, and I think it was pushing like 10 psi. And the car ran great. Andrew hated it. He was like, you need to focus more on the 3G, but it was a fun side project, and it ended up sucking some water up, actually, before I even put the turbo on. And when it sucked the water up, it ended up bending a rod on the first cylinder. So me just being in a rush, I only replaced the first cylinder rod and piston and bearings. I didn't do any of the other ones, and the car was always kind of eh. So when I put the turbo on, and I don't know, it just started knocking one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna get rid of this before, So I ended up selling it to a kid. He was like 18, and he's like, I want this car. And I'm like, bro, like, it's got these problems. And he's like, yeah, my homeboys and us are gonna fix it. So then that car got passed around like a doobie. Like, oh my god, like it was terrible because I sold it to one guy. He ends up selling it to a kid. The kid's like 17. And the kid gets back in touch with me because he blew the motor on the freeway, and he's blaming the guy that I sold it to. And I'm like, nah, bro, like this is, So he brings it to me, and I'm like, I don't want to touch this car. Like I got rid of it because I didn't want to touch it anymore. And yeah, he ended up selling somebody else, and bro, it went through. I think I counted 5 people it went through, and then the final guy that I ended up talking to that had a GSX. And he was like, can you help me fix my GSX? I'll give you this car back if you fix my GSX. And I was like, nah, dude, like, it's a great, it was something easy on this car, too. I think he had something wrong with his vacuum lines or something, but I was like, I just don't want that car again. Like, I never want a 2G 428 ever again. And I ended up buying, after that car, a 99 GST. And I swapped the interiors. It was like right before I sold the first 2G. I swapped the interiors out, made it real nice. It was red. And that car, it was a love-hate relationship with that car, man. Like, I absolutely love the body style of the 2G. I love the interior, the way they built those cars and the interior. It was so much, I think there was more quality given to the interiors of the 2Gs than the 3Gs. But oh my god, the 4G63, like, there's so much potential there, but there's just so many problems there. Like, I don't know, that car was always breaking down. Like, it would bust a hose, or it would blow like a thing off the intercooler, or just something. A wire would melt. That car had some serious issues, and I came to find out that a lot of 2Gs that people try to daily drive have those issues.
Yeah, it's been neglected for so long and passed around.
The cool thing was, though, that second 2G, the 99 GST, it did have a built block. So it had manly rods, it had a manly crank, and it had a Wysico, I think, pistons. And it was a great car when it was pushing some power. But I ended up selling it to a guy for $5,500, and he didn't know much about cars. He brought his homeboy that knew, and he drove around for about an hour, in the HEB parking lot we were at, and let him go down the street and then come back. And I told him, I'm like, it's got an issue with the intercooler pipe blowing off if you go too high and boost, because we were running like 27 psi in that car. Andrew tuned that car, by the way, and we were making some power. Like, it was wild. It was automatic, and we ended up putting an Evo ECU in it, and we put big maps on it. And when I say that pissed off the 2G community, like, the 2G guys are mad. They're like, why didn't you put DSM leaf? Why did you put an Evo ECU? I'm like, that's what my tuner does. Like, we were making power. But anyways, long story short, the guy I sold it to ended up blowing the intercooler pipes off. He didn't really know how to work on it.
Yeah.
So he ends up asking me, like, who can I take this to? Because I'm like, I don't have time to mess with him. I'm trying to do a motor swap on my 3G. So I gave him Hassan's number, and Hassan has this little shop out in Katy. And he took it to Hassan, and Hassan ended up buying that car from him for $2,000. Yeah, so Hassan has that car right now in his driveway. He pulled the motor out, just fixed a lot of stuff, little things here and there. And I think he put a 16G in it, and man, that car it's amazing what he did with it. So
it's awesome.
Yeah.
So if people want to come out and see the RemRem in action this year, are there any events that you plan to bring it out to?
Yeah, actually, IFO got rescheduled this year. Trying to see when it is. It's in June. Because it got I think it was February, and ended up getting canceled. So because of the rain, like IFO still happened, but the drag racing got canceled. So I'm trying to find the date. June 8th, I believe. June 12th, I'll be at Baytown Racetrack at IFO with RemRem. So if anybody wants to come out, that's where we'll be.
Awesome. So, I hope to have some more 3G guys on this podcast because, I definitely want to try to draw up some support for the community because, it seems like it's dying off so fast. But there's so many fast cars coming up right now that I'm hoping that it motivates the community to come back and start building these cars again. What do you think is the future of the 3G list? How do you see it?
Honestly, dude, I don't know. I know Zulfab, they're doing some stuff to their 3G. It looks like it's going to run some good times once they get it going. I know Steven, his 4-cylinder, his 4G63 swap, it's making some serious power, but I just honestly haven't seen anybody really geared towards drag racing in the fashion that I know they have to be geared to run top 3 times.
Yeah.
I wish I saw more, but I just don't right now. I know we're gonna be top 3 by the end of the year. I want to see this platform get in the 9s. I don't think there's any reason that we can't be that way, but I think there's just a lack of resources. You know what I'm saying? Affordable resources in that. Yeah, and that just kind of when we really get down to it, dude, most of the people who own 3Gs, they're not in the means of making them super fast. And I think I see a lot of people touching 12s, I think I see a lot of that coming soon. I think I see some people hitting 11s.
That'd be awesome.
And yeah, I think I see that coming because I'm following a few guys on Instagram right now. They're 3G racing with Graham, Ben. I think I see a lot of 12s coming. And I want to see more of that. I want to see those guys beat Rem. You know what I'm saying? I want to see Joey come back. I want to see Boston come back. I want to see Alex come back, and I want to see them just come back and just do the thing. But I think a lot of people who have done it are just kind of moving on to different platforms.
Yeah.
Or they were getting older. But yeah, what I want it to just keep going and get faster. But in the next couple years, I think it's just kind of a want. You know what I'm saying with the 3Gs. But I also think it's kind of a monkey see, monkey do thing too.
I hope so.
I really feel like what we do at RemRem is going to kind of push people to do it. And that's what I think all the time when I think about man, I'm just going to quit the Civic race and just do fast stuff. I'm like, you're letting down a whole community, because if they see me stop, there's just going to be a bunch of show cars again.
Right. And people are going to, the parts that are starting to become available are going to now go away again if we, just give up now.
Yeah. So there's a lot sitting on the shoulders, and so my wife is kind of more than me at this point. You know, I can't be selfish.
All right, Darin. Well, I appreciate it. Is there anybody that you want to give a shout out to?
I mean, you know, my tuner, of course, Andrew. Big shout out to Andrew, AP Tune. Literally, this would not be possible without him at all. I wouldn't even know which way to go. I'd have probably blew my engine up trying to put nitrous on it. Shout out to my wife for just putting up with me and my dedication to the car. I know it gets a little bit ridiculous at times how much time I spend on it, but you know it's all for the better good. And shout out to my brother, you know, just for helping out with everything. And you know, I've got some pretty good advice from Steven, and even Joey's lended some advice here and there. You know, the whole 3G community, man. Shout out to y'all, MitsuTimes. Man, just, you know, like I said, the whole community, everybody in the Instagram world and the 3G Facebook groups. I just want to give everybody a thank you for the support. And, yeah, man, I just want to see people do great. Oh, shout out to Joe, man. I think, you know, once he gets his stuff figured out, I think his car is going to be one of the ones to be in the top tier. He's making the power for it. So I really want to see him put that power to the ground and get that thing moving.
Yeah, definitely. I was, you know, I drove out to IFO. I wanted to see him crack off a good time, but it just wasn't meant to be. It was one of those things where I kind of hyped it up, and I might have jinxed it. I appreciate you coming on, and I hope that I hope that we can motivate some more 3G guys to get out there, at least hit the track, even if you're bone stock. Just get out there and get it going. It all starts. Everybody started somewhere. So, yep, I appreciate it, man, and hope to hear from you soon. Hope to see a big update coming up.
Cool. All right, brother. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Take it easy.
Thank you for listening to the MitsuTimes podcast. Check out our Instagram and Facebook for daily updates. Get added to our list by going to MitsuTimes.org and clicking Submit a Slip. Thank you to all of our sponsors.